at you!
What is up, everybody? This is Atticus, the Death Meddler, and I just want to say to all the fucking social justice warriors and Radfems and Pussyfit white knights, fuck each and every single one of you motherfuckers that just went on your Pussyfit tirade and spoiled the ever-loving shit out of Season 5 of Game of Thrones for me. Just the simple fact, not only do these people get on a fucking bitch fit every time something very controversial happens in Game of Thrones, but they manage to spoil it for everybody who has not been caught up on the season. Now, to those of you who are wondering what these kinds of people are getting really rallied up and really pissed off about, it was a recent episode, and we're at the very end where one of the most sadistic characters in Game of Thrones, Ramsay Bolton, and yes, he actually marries Sansa Stark in this episode, goes off to supposedly rape Sansa on their wedding night. And somehow, due to all the politically correct assholes, radical feminazis, social justice warriors, and the feminazis' lapdogs, white knights, took to the internet and went on fucking tirades saying, oh, I'm not gonna watch Game of Thrones anymore. Going as far to say, Sansa Stark was brutally attacked by her sadistic new husband, Ramsay Bolton. He makes Joffrey Baratheon look like an angel. And oh, that's not the most cringeworthy of all articles. This one I came across and I almost face-housed. Ramsay raped Sansa on Game of Thrones. It was the most traumatizing scene yet, but could have been avoided? Traumatizing. Very traumatizing? I'm sorry, but the most traumatizing scene I've ever seen on the series was the Red Wedding.
Mother. The Lannisters send their regards.
Fuck you, Roose Bolton. The North will remember. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit off topic over here, and this, like, if you thought that this shit was really bad enough, it gets even way worse. It goes even far as a U.S. Senator puts her 2 cents on this whole thing. U.S. Senator of Missouri, Claire McCaskill, says, kind of depressing that so many more people have opinions about Game of Thrones than reform of U.S. intelligence gathering that I also tweeted about yesterday. Also, Mark Henderson put in his 2 cents in this whole fucking controversial, and I say that lightly, controversial, on his whole 2 cents on this scene. Game of Thrones, there is a such thing as crossing the line, and y'all definitely did that tonight to Sansa. Don't ruin a great show for stock. Really? 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 'Cause, you know, Game of Thrones is supposed to depict a really, like, harsh and really brutal environment. In Game of Thrones, you have such atrocities that happen, as in flaying, slavery, crucifixion, beheadings, ritual of sacrificing infants to the oncoming threats of White Walkers, cannibalism, and the most famous of topics that are really cringeworthy, incest. But all of those somehow pale in comparison to the greatest atrocity you could ever do in Westeros, and that is rape. Now, a little disclaimer to any of you out there, I am not making fun of rape and sexual assault victims. Now, I can clearly tell that, you know, rape is a very traumatic experience, and I do know people, and I have friends who are victims of rape and sexual assault, and I do feel for them every single day. So that is out of the picture. But the way these people are going around and just saying, like, they're just going around saying that rape is like worse than incest. Rape is worse than slavery. It is worse than sacrificing infants to White Walkers. It's worse than beheadings. It's worse than flaying men alive. It's worse than male genital mutilation. And oh, I'll get to male genital mutilation in a very bit right there. But no, all those are not offensive at all. Also, due to this whole fucking controversy that has circled all over the internet, even a few feminists had decided to post articles and where they hopefully, and I hope they did, debunk this whole fucking argument of rape and how controversial it is in Game of Thrones, saying it's not that big of a fucking deal. Feminists are actually getting a reality check and are actually calling out on the fucking Radfems and social justice warriors and white knights on this fucking bullshit. And this isn't the first time that Game of Thrones has been under the heat. Last year, the same people were going crazy over the same topic, except it was Jaime Lannister forcing himself on Cersei Lannister, and feminists went apeshit bananas over this, and the Amazing Atheist made a very good video on this whole topic. If you want to check out his video, I got it down on the description below. And let's talk about Ramsay Bolton and Sansa Stark for a second here, people. I'm not saying that, you know, what he did to Sansa was not as bad, but it was a pretty uncomfortable situation for Sansa. I can agree to that. But what Ramsay did to Sansa, like, I watched the scene myself. If you want to know how I got caught up, I drove down all the way down to Orlando to visit my brother, but I had legitimate reasons to visit Orlando because I wanted to spend time with my older brother, and not to mention I was seeing Camelot at the House of Blues, in which they did fucking awesome. I'm getting a little bit off topic, but he recorded some episodes of Game of Thrones, and he somehow recorded the episode in where Ramsay Bolton supposedly raped Sansa Stark. And so I watched it, and clearly it did not show anything. All it ever did was he basically ripped the back of her shirt, and you could hear them like, you could hear him like plowing her, and she was very uncomfortable while Theon was just watching helplessly. Now, the whole thing about Ramsay Bolton here, what he did to Sansa pales in comparison to what he did to Theon Greyjoy. Now, I'm not saying that Theon Greyjoy is a saint or an angel. He did some very fucked up shit, as in fucking up Winterfell on Season 2. But what Ramsay did to Theon was fucking atrocious. He deprived him of sleep, he deprived him of food and water, cut his fingertips, put nails on his feet, and the coup de grace of all things fucked up, he cut his fucking dick off.
You had a good-sized cock. What? Yeah. Pork sausage.
I mean, like, the most horrible things you could ever do to a guy, cut his manhood. That's like one of the worst things you could ever do to a guy, and hopefully that will never happen to me. Oh, and not to mention, people made hilarious ass memes over Theon Greyjoy getting his dick cut off, but oh, if it was female genital mutilation, oh my gosh, there would be a fucking... It would be a fucking war zone on the internet if it was female genital mutilation. But no, yeah, double standards work well that way. And another double standard I want to bring up. You remember in Season 1 where it was Daenerys Targaryen's wedding with Khal Drogo, and there were a bunch of Dothraki getting it on with each other and killing each other while Daenerys and Khal Drogo are watching the whole gratuitous, like, orgy of, like, fucking and violence were going on. And not to mention, after the wedding ceremony, Khal decides to plow Daenerys through, and there was no peep. There was no fucking peep. Why is it that there was no peep over Daenerys Targaryen being forced into this situation, but there is a lot of, like, fucking apeshit going on within Sansa and Ramsay Bolton? It's probably because I think it's because that Ramsay Bolton is a sadistic fuck, I believe. I don't know. But the moral of the story is that these types of people, we're living in the age of politically correct assholes who will go as far as to ruin everything good upon humanity and everything that we hold dear. I mean, I fear the day that Radfems, social justice warriors, and white knights will like team up and create a petition into where they ban the shit out of Game of Thrones because it somehow promotes rape culture. And as a person who loves film and TV shows, it really is terrifying because that is somewhat a form of censorship that is going on. So all I gotta say to all of you politically correct assholes, feminazis, white knights, and social justice warriors, fuck all of you, and cheers, motherfuckers. I'm Atticus the Death Metaler. Hope you liked this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are in the description below. Keep it metal. Have a wonderful day.